Look Beyond Oil conference was very, very pivotal. 5 hours of deliberations, conversations around transitioning to a renewable or a more sustainable
livelihood.
Yeah, more sustainable livelihood and more environmentally friendly livelihood, especially in Niger Delta. And one of the issues we tried to address was the over dependence on oil.
Yeah.
And coming from the environmental perspective, which was well captured, and then moving on to the social dynamics, which has to do with IOC divide and rule, community clashes as a result of oil. So it's almost like saying, is oil a blessing or a curse to Niger Delta people? And that conversations, aligning it with the climate goals, net zero goal, and then trying to see how we in Niger Delta will now begin to embrace a different livelihood that is environmentally friendly for sustainability. And we had great guests, great speakers. I mean, we've not recovered from the wealth of knowledge we got from the conference. So I want to ask you, Favor. You were a volunteer at the Look Beyond Oil conference, and you're very active, right? What was your striking moment? What was your striking moment at the conference?
Okay. First off, when I heard the conference name Look Beyond Oil, I was like, the name was like a suspense. I'm like, what do they mean by Look Beyond Oil? Is it like they're trying to tell us, okay, it is more than meets the eye and the rest of them? So, but being at the conference, it's a place for different people to air out different opinions, actually. So, and then the question thrown was, is oil a curse or it's a blessing to Nigeria and then to the precise Niger Delta people? But then here's what I think, and this is my opinion from somebody who spoke there in the audience. I don't know her name, but I think she's a lawyer. She's actively in the humanitarian field. And then she was saying she picked out a point from one of the speakers when we're trying to talk about whether oil is a blessing or a curse. And then she says, no, it's all about, okay, when these oil companies mess up the place, let them settle the people, let them settle them with this, empower their youth, which we know that sometimes it doesn't really happen. It's just a thing of the mouth, or the accountability process is not actually followed up. So she was saying that it is not just about you spoil my property and you give me money to go away. Because before somebody will give you 5 million, the person is getting 20 million in return. So there's or 20 billion in this case, because this is oil. We know that oil is like the treasure purse of Nigeria. So
what she was trying to say was that we should eradicate.
If we cannot properly manage these circumstances, I think our opinion is in the space that we eradicate it, or the government should actually take responsibility for this.
So I guess what she was trying to say is, and that's where the conversation is around. Somebody posted on Twitter at the conference. The person said, "Do you want to take jobs away from families and all that and all that and all that?" And the conversation now is around two things. Number one, what she was trying to say is, our conversation shouldn't be compensation.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be compensation. Should be transitioning.
Yeah.
Our conversation should be around, we shouldn't be talking about
let's give them money so they can forget.
Yes, she was talking about, let us transition. Let's start talking about how we'll stop exploring, how we'll stop damaging the
Can we do this thing without the lives of people being at exchange?
But the problem is that not everybody agrees with that. Some people believe that when it comes to and that's why they have the act like PIA, which is the Petroleum Industry Act, and you have ESG, local content policy, that try to address the relationship between
the oil companies and the
host communities. However, of course, we know the corruption in the oil sector is enormous, so we can't really. Now the question now is, can Niger Delta survive without oil?
Even with the oil, are they surviving?
Sure.
That's the irony.
You. Where are you based, bro?
I was born in Port Harcourt.
Oh, you're born in Port Harcourt. Okay. Because we Port Harcourt to that oil, sir.
No, I'm talking about the people who, when we visit communities like Bayelsa, you visit this community, these people who are, we don't even know that they exist, you visit them. We're not seeing the benefits in their life.
So, I mean, I'm talking from the standpoint of a businessman.
Okay.
Right? So you look at the revenue, state revenue, you see that the states that collect the highest revenue apart from Lagos are oil producing states.
Yeah.
So saying that we should, and that's the conversation. I mean, we created a survey poll, and I think I'll post the link on this. Like, can we say sincerely and practically that Nigeria can survive, Niger Delta can be developed and grow without oil? We
really cannot say. We don't want to do what our president did and just cut off oil subsidy without any proper analysis.
Okay.
So we wouldn't say that it's going to work, but let's give it a bargain. Or while we are trying to reduce the negative effect of this oil exploration, can we just try other means? Can we try other means that would work? And for me, we're not the only country that does oil producing and all of that. We're not the only people, but why is our own bad?
So, you see why, they have climate apologists and climate conspiracy theorists that believe that all this, we just talk. And why I agree is that advocates should be more practical than, I think we can be high sounding, but we are not practical. So if you say transition beyond oil to what? If you say transition beyond oil, number one, to what? Number two, at what pace? Number three, what is the framework? What is the structure you are putting in place? What is the plan?
But you know that the goal is sustainability. The future of oil, is it sustainable? The future of, the more we depend on this oil, is it sustainable for us? And then let's look at other countries who survive without this oil. What are their approach? Can we? I know we really cannot copy other people because we are different people. We can't use.
Best practices.
We really cannot use what works in America for Nigeria. We are not the same. Just like we're talking about climate change, all of their growing of trees. It's really not practicable. Practicable, I mean, over here, because we already have these trees in abundance over here. So that is not our problem. But we can still try to look at them with great analysis to see at what level can we do similar thing that will work for us. Other people who doesn't have oil, what do they use to survive? And I always used to ask this question. There are countries who also have oil and they are not as polluted or as
So the issue now is they're in two phases. When you talk about the global emission problem, right, and that's where we don't have time come in, and our advocacy at Lincgreen is in two phases. We talk about mitigation, that is according to the net zero goal that every country should.
There is this post that Ayo from ESFM posted about the net zero talk and how this journalist was interviewed, David by name, talking about Nigeria, saying that they're going to be on net zero in 2026. And now they want to, Dangote is pitching for a refinery, and how they are saying that if Nigeria wants to go for net zero, how will the refinery help that particular argument?
So you see, that conversation is spiritual. We can't start going into
But the refinery really help the case.
So now, this is the point I was trying to make. I was trying to make the point that in talking about oil exploration, the sad part of it is that we are not even benefiting from the oil that we're exploring. So there is a portion of injustice.
It's not that we are not benefiting. The right people are not benefiting.
Yeah, of course. We're not. It is just a few carcass. The oil is a scam, right? So, but then that is we have that factor. But we as climate justice advocates or climate change advocates, we must also consider this global goal, and that every country is making conscious efforts to stop carbon emission, or significantly reduce carbon emissions. And in that conversation, you now begin to talk about how we as Nigeria, we need to put effort, but the entire value chain is that if we put effort, so the conversation now is around we are not, even with our oil production, we are not major contributors
of
to
those carbon emissions.
yes, we're not major contributors. So it's almost like we have now become a dumping ground.
Dumping ground.
We are just used for exploration, and then the main activities is done outside.
And even the final effect of this whole exploration is still coming back to us, because when climate change happens and the rise in sea levels, the heat and all of that, it's still going to affect Africa.
Because we are not well prepared, because of the poverty rate and all that, we are not well prepared to handle the effects of climate change. But then leads me back to the question now. We can present all that to a common man. And show the common man how the climate change directly affects them. Right? But the question is, will the common man agree? Right? That we need to transition. Will the common man agree that we can do without oil? The conversation, and especially what is being chaired by We Don't Have Time, which is our partner organization, which is very strong, is that we need to make fast decisions. And that's what Igna said in his speech, that this is not the time to because of the urgency of climate change. This is not the time to be emotional about transition, right? This is the time to be absolute about transition. But my problem now is that the countries that are chairing the transition are political. Let's take a short break. So my question to you there is, sincerely, as a Nigerian man and as a Niger Delta, can Niger Delta survive without oil? Do you think that Niger Delta can survive without oil as it is now?
I really can't say. The truth of the matter is that is Niger Delta really faring well, even with the oil exploration? Because as we know, it's almost like if you people are just collecting the whole money, and you have this disparity where in the same neighborhood or in the same city, you have the so rich, and you have the, I won't even call them poor, you have the so impoverished. So if there's going to be transition, it's not going to be automatic. It has to take a process. But the question now is, the common man that the question you're throwing at me is, how will the common man understand, excuse me, does the common man have any stake in policy making, in decision taking?
Or in the process
he doesn't have any stake. He's not benefiting from it. As a matter of fact, he's suffering because of it. So in his own position, he would rather say, if the oil he wants, in fact, I heard somebody saying one time, let the oil even dry up so we'll have peace. Because of the problems that are associated with it. Yes, let it dry up. So it's not a matter of whether he will accept or not. Does he really have a stake?
So do you think oil is a blessing or a curse?
Oil is a huge blessing. A blessing is a blessing. But how you handle it is what determines the effect. A blessing is a blessing.
Does blessing come with the issues that come out of oil is too much. So if you say it's a blessing, it comes with kidnapping, militancy, crime. Then before you not even start talking about if our brothers killing brothers, family killing family.
Does India have oil?
Yes, I don't know.
Does India have oil? Because I know that there's why the reason I asked the question is there's kidnapping everywhere.
No, but yeah, we understand that. But I'm talking about
there's stealing and robbery,
the crisis
everywhere
that came out from this oil. Okay, apart from the social economic crisis, what of the environmental pollution? Of course, you know that oil has destroyed the livelihoods of a lot of Niger Deltas.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have to now go into oil bunkering because that's the only way they can partake in the whole oil thing.
Yes, like taking your own property from the back, and then you are now turning the thief. I was watching the news yesterday, and then it wasn't funny, but it was laughable when I think it was a military general saying that they are doing all they can to stop oil bunkering. There's a word he used, a term he used, and I was like, okay, yeah, he said oil thieves, and I was like, by all standard, this thing belongs to these people. Why are you calling them thieves? You are actually the thief here. Now, so the point is, oil exploration comes with its benefits and with its disadvantages, if I should put it that way, with its effects on the environment. The proceeds from oil exploration should actually be enough to make up for
just like Saudi Arabia and Dubai,
to make up for the effects.
They're trying to say,
But because it's been stolen, because few persons are putting out a huge chunk of the proceeds into their pocket, it now seems like it's a cost.
Okay.
So oil is a blessing, but the cost is the leadership. The cost we have, is not CAUSE, the CURSE. The cost we have is the leadership, those managing it.
So do you think, honestly, that the world, let's now go on a global scale, because you're an engineer and you've worked at a lot of projects that involved environmental impact assessment and all that. Do you think it is possible for the world, according to the net zero goals and all the best practices and goals we have, to stop using fossil fuel? Is it practicable? Do we have an alternative energy for it?
Okay, in let me say in 1992, or maybe 1989. If you ask someone if he thinks there's a time when you will not need to write letters to communicate, with people in distant places, other countries, as it used to be then, they will not be able to fathom, to conceive the possibility. But time reveals everything. If it's given time and the right procedures are followed, it's only a matter of time, and we can shift gradually but definitely. We can shift from the use of fossil fuel.
The problem now is that everybody don't die. Because the argument now is that we still know they are alive.
Like I said, it has to take a process.
Yeah, but that process is too long.
No, the process will be set in place.
The scary thing about climate change is where we are getting to. If we cross 2 degrees, the disaster will be much. So, and that's why people like, we don't have time. A full NGO name himself or a full movement.
Okay, we don't have time.
We don't have time in the sense that
disaster in the
you
waiting.
Understand? Lives are lost. Lebanon last year lost over 10,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, they were picking dead bodies on the floor because of flood. So
there's one in Bauchi State recently. Was it Bauchi?
Yeah. There's heat wave. So people are saying that's why you see hashtag climate action now, because this is not at this point in time, yes, we understand it's not like technological advancement. This is life or death, right? This is, if you don't do something now, something will happen that you cannot control. Even though I understand your point, but we don't have time.
The thing is, just like you rounded up your question, if you don't do something now, something will happen that you can't control. So we only have 2 options: do something now, or wait until something happens that we cannot control.
I really understand.
There is a possibility. It is very practicable for the world to do without fossil fuel. But I'll still take the stand that it will take time. Now you have 2 options. It either has to be disruptive, or what's the other one? It's either disruptive, or let me explain the next one. It has to take a process. So disruptive has to do with either an event happening that will make everybody to forcefully stop it.
And I think that's the climate conversation. That because of the fact that we don't have time, it has to be disruptive.
Now the disruptive aspect might not be man influenced. It might not be human influenced. It might be by a very terrible natural disaster. Or just like you said, if we go 2 more degrees, is it 2 more degrees lower?
Higher.
If we go 2 more degrees higher, there's going to be a disaster. So if that happens, a lot of people will die, sadly. But sometimes that is what it takes for permanent change. No, come on. No, that's what it takes for a permanent change to occur. I mean, just like some of us are, no, I'm not part of those advocating it, but some people are saying that they need to just wipe out an entire generation, which is the current generation of leadership. You understand? But that is an aside. That is a totally different topic.
The problem now is, and I mean, this conversation is important because I keep on stressing that we don't have time, and disruptive change is the conversation among climate advocates. They say we should stop eating meat, right? You know, we should.
What would happen to animals?
So that we can now have a robust, like more people should be, because the carbon footprint in cooking meat and the process contributes to a greenhouse gas. And also, what they are saying is that we need to now take urgent steps, even very uncomfortable measures.
For me, I don't agree with that meat one.
Yeah, me too. I don't agree. But then, you know, but that's the conversation. And in fact, it's an issue because I think somebody on Instagram asked me that you are clamoring for climate change, what is your carbon footprint? You fly, you fly on air, you eat meat. So it's almost like, but we understand. But this is the truth. Statistically, and if you understand the data, people need to take uncomfortable decisions. We need to adjust to what is not comfortable.
Okay.
To curb climate crisis.
What is not comfortable? And the person was asking you what your carbon footprint is, citing instances of you having to take flights.
Yeah.
So the world bicycle. So just imagine.
I would have done.
The world is at a place where you need to do something and you need to get it done as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Right. At what expense?
Well, at the expense of the environment.
That's the problem.
Sadly. So you said
when do we maintain the balance?
Well, the balance can only be maintained by everybody just staying in their houses. You won't go out unless of course it's a distance that is trekkable, or you can use a bicycle. Anything that has to do with running engines that will emit carbon, then we have to do away with them. However, there is now the option of using solar powered systems. But that's another topic, because I think there's an argument
in this country.
There's an argument as to the process.
Yeah, lithium and all that.
Yeah. So how do you really now? Let me just ask this question. I know you're supposed to be the one asking the question, but I'm throwing it out.
Yeah.
Is there a way of? Of course, we already have a lot of forest and a lot of bushes, but is there a way of increasing forestation? As per it might not totally save the situation, but it should reduce the impact.
So in the conversation around biodiversity preservation, for me, honestly, apart from cutting down on our carbon footprint and reducing our carbon footprint, I feel like one of the greatest mitigation strategies for this climate change is tree planting. Reforestation. But then the problem that we are having now in the whole conversation between the developed countries and the developing country is that you have finished cutting down all your tree and you continue cutting down the trees. There's industrialization, because you know that you need wood. These things are factors for industrialization. But we are not industrialized yet, right? As much as you're now putting the burden on us. So the question now is that equity, that transparency in the process. If every country is now committed to their own quota, right? And that was one of the problems that caused controversy in the last COP28. It was almost like they were saying, let us use African countries as the countries that will be sucking out carbon while we keep on producing. So it is, the problem with climate change is not the carbon. It's just that we are producing more carbon than
the environment can suck in.
Exactly. Right, so they are saying let's turn Africa into a green wall. Why we keep on, and that's climate injustice. And so I think if every country plays their part, and the goals are, every country set goals for themselves, scientific goals that you say, okay, how much is your carbon footprint in this country? Then you must mitigate. You are mandated to mitigate. It shouldn't be the other country, because that's when you now begin to talk about carbon pricing and all those exclusive stuff. All right, we didn't plan to go so deep, but I mean, in our next conversations, I think we'll be going deeper into the science of climate change, so we understand fully carbon pricing and the whole carbon emission value chain. Thank you so much, great man. So yeah, volunteer series. You were involved in Look Beyond Oil conference. So what would you say was most striking for you in the entire 5 hours conversation?
Okay, I think there was a panel session with Abietara, and the CEO of Bole Festival, and I think one other person. So
I got some pictures.
Yes, and when you listen to their individual stories, for example, Abietara, the girl that left the city to go back to the village to make clothes, and those kind of things actually inspire you to realize that, okay, beyond the oil, there is still more out there that we can actually do. Like, there is tech, there is agriculture, and all these things. But you see, they've made it in Nigeria so bold, and so like it's become a mindset that without oil we can't do anything, which is not true. Before the oil, we're actually doing things. There's fishing. And most days, if you go to the market these days, it's even hard to find fish in the market because most of our rivers have been polluted. Because there was a time I had a trip with High Prep where we went to Ogoni, and then they showed us the Bodo River that is connected to Andoni. There's nothing left. It's filled with oil. Like if you when you see it in pictures, it doesn't even do it justice. Like oil is coming out of the ground. There is no water anymore. It's just plain oil. So all the sea life there are gone. The trees are dying. So when you say, can we do without oil? At this point, we have to put in the effort. Change isn't easy, but it's necessary.
So, I mean, the panel session you spoke about captured, and this is the argument, because I'm training the argument. Right?
Okay.
The argument is that how many clothes person wants so
really
before a hammer. So the argument is in the measuring the economic scalability of other sectors comparing to oil. So if you tell a young person that this young person that, so of course everybody, my son is working in an oil company. My son is working in an oil company. It's different from my son is a tailor. So you understand? So I'm saying this to say this, that beyond, right, I mean, as funny as it sounds, beyond it's a societal problem, right? It's a culture, like this culture shift that we have so much magnified the importance of oil, because
it's even beyond magnifying, it has been glorified.
I mean, because of first of all, I mean, I don't say this, I say this regrettably, that somehow in this country, because we do not invest in research and development, right? It is whatever is working, whatever worked in 1992. It's almost like, these are old leaders are not interested in new inventions. And that is why
not even new, they're not willing to change.
Yes, they're not willing to change, right?
And change is the only thing that is constant.
Yes. So they're not willing to change, and that is why it seems like we've been doing this thing that's been working. And where I fear is that we'll get to the point where truly, as he said, when the oil now begins to dry up, as it has began to dry up.
Concerning this oil thing, we should also sit back and ask ourselves, this oil we are all clamoring for, the damage it has caused, is it worth it? The damage it has caused to our livelihoods, our environment, because right now, presently, there was a conference I attended and we were talking about the life expectancy. Do you know the life expectancy for river states, Niger Delta, is different from those in the north and in the west? If you travel to the north and the west, their air there is cleaner than when you come to river states. Because remember, I don't know if it was 2017, 2018, Black Suit, where there was no surface that was clean, down to the windows. Like in my house, we had to be cleaning the windows on a daily basis. And as you're cleaning, it's literally very thick.
What happens?
So how are you even breathing? How the air you're breathing, it's not even clean. So when you go to the hospital, you have medical problems. You can't even trace it. I think it has turned to witchcraft.
Yeah, I understand. So I mean,
babies that a lot of babies die during that period.
Infant mortality.
Exactly. So is this oil we're clamoring for? Is the damage worth it?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but then when you...
Are you saying yes, the damage is worth it?
No.
Okay.
I'm saying, I mean, you are correct, because, we're not benefiting from the...
Not really.
money. But I'm just saying that when you go to Shell Estate and see those fat children of oil company workers, they will have a different...
They will have a different...
I think the first conversation...
They just working in an office that pays very well. You always have a different opinion.
You see the problem. The problem is, and I keep on saying it, that we need to what's the language that we use now? We need to now amplify other industries, and I think that is what our conference outlined.
Yes, that was what I was saying.
Yes.
These days, everybody's hustling. Everybody's trying to make a living. Everybody's trying to survive. But this oil, it's also still draining us. Like, it's not even our environment, it's even draining at this point. It's our blood.
Yeah. So
because very soon our blood will be made of crude oil.
Yeah. So the point is, in the financial markets, and I mean, that's what we need to explore every aspect of it. And I know that you cannot, especially in a country like Nigeria, you cannot create any sustainable change, or you cannot clamor for any sustainable thing without adding the economic undertone. In other words, what we're trying to say is that if we say stop this, what are the alternatives? So I personally think, and that is why that session was very important.
Yes.
Tara, Nonso, Antoine was very important, because these are people that are excelling in
their fields,
and they're doing very well.
This present generation now, they are looking for quick money. Nobody actually wants to put in the work.
Funny enough,
that's the reason why
money is not even quick money, except you want to do bunkering. I mean, that's the thing.
Bunkering is not even advisable, because your life is literally tomorrow, right? There are a lot of them that get killed. Do you know that?
But I'm trying to say,
if 10 of them go to do bunkering, probably 3 or 5 will come back.
Definitely.
There's a situation where the pipeline you're going to vandalize.
Yes, nah.
If you don't get shot down by the security personnel guiding it, probably you eventually make it out. What makes you think that the person you're going to do bunkering with will want to share the money with you?
So I mean, it's a whole lot. So the challenge now is, we're now saying that let us stop glorifying oil.
Yes, let's look beyond it.
Yes, let's amplify. First of all, let's amplify the environmental damage, and that is what Look Beyond Oil conference tried to do. And we'll continue these conversations, because it's very important. It's a psychological thing. Because what fundamental transformation?
What planet? What are we even living for the future generations?
Exactly.
Just losses.
Exactly. So we must look at,
and we're putting their lives at stake.
Yeah, definitely. Because
there'll be a time where it will be like nothing is growing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like plants can't grow.
Yeah, it's the not sustainable. That's the point.
Proteins in the sea are gone. You see, if the plants are not growing, which means the animals on the land are dying, which means human life is lost, which means everything is lost at the end.
So we need to now amplify the woes of the oil, and then show people an alternative that works. So, and that's why we need more investment in renewable energy and the system around economic empowerment around sustainability. And that's what Ina was trying to say when he said we need to move the money. He kept on repeating it, that for any change, and that session was very important, we need to look at moving the money away from fossil fuel that is highly subsidized to cleaner and sustainable energy. That when they see that there's money in renewable energy, we can have an economic empowerment in renewable energy. We really don't need oil.
The thing is, another thing is, right, we're saying there is money in crude.
Yeah.
But people don't, the money that is in the crude, have you tasted of it?
No.
Have you eaten from it? Have you tasted of it? have you enjoyed it? Can you say that, we are all glorifying crude oil?
That's what I'm saying. It's over-glorified.
It's over-glorified. Yeah. Even when you empower others, they see that this other ideas you're bringing to them, they will tell you it's long suffering.
It's PRO. So look at a state like Lagos. Lagos is not oil producing, but it's the highest It has the highest GDP among all the states. So it's Niger Delta and oil is over glorified, and that's what I'm trying to say. And that is why I say we need to now do more advocacy and sensitization around de-glorifying, if there's anything like that, de-glorifying the current status of oil
and making it look less attractive.
Yes, and then amplifying the negative effects.
You would think that them seeing how damaged the environment is would give them an idea of, okay, this is not even worth it.
Yeah, but no, because it's hunger. That's a dream. But that's why I said.
Hungry.
So that's why I said, when
if you're hungry, go into farming. Your farm will produce
that's why
for you.
I say that we need to now de-glorify it, and from the point of the economy, right, highlight the environmental impact and show them that, look, and as I said during Beyond Oil conference, the first 10 richest companies are tech companies.
Yeah, right? That's also very important.
Right, the companies that have the highest number of staffs are tech companies. They are not even oil companies. So the problem with Niger Delta, it is the mentality that they have created. This is the over dependence on oil.
It's even called our oil.
Yes, the over dependence on oil that
belongs to us.
That makes us feel like we are rich because we have oil. Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Right? Because it doesn't even done what that.
Yes. Okay. It is human capital that makes us rich.
Okay, the oil is in our land, right? But we can't do anything with the oil.
Yeah, exactly.
So somebody else from out there has to come in to bring out the oil. And then they take it outside.
Yeah,
and then we have to buy it back.
So that's the thing. So it's the whole research around this oil thing, and those are the things we need to now start highlighting, especially to young people, to tell them that, look,
there's life out of all this.
Beyond oil. All right. Thank you. You want to say something?
Yes. So what was going through my mind? Okay, if it's not oil, what else can we do? Now, I told you initially that we can look at other countries who doesn't have oil naturally. We should also look at two things that are in my mind. Before now, because the goal is sustainability, what can we do that does not affect humans in return and does not affect the earth which we live in? Because the earth is our major priority. It's everything. That's where we live, that's where we breathe, everything. When God gives us life, we live in the earth. We cannot live in the moon, we cannot live anywhere else. So there's one thing that never grows old, and that is buying and selling.
Sheila Bush.
One thing never grows old. That is why an Igbo man is an Igbo man. One thing never grows old, which is buying and selling. There are many things, like the fish. See, the things that are really the most expensive in this world are things that God gives to us. You see that fish that the oil is coming to kill is not actually the goal when God gave us oil.
Yeah, true.
So the fish in the river are supposed to still be in the river, not because of our activities are taking them away, which is not meant to be so. There are many things we can venture into. I know tech is actually booming, but I think tech is just having its prime. But let me tell you, the way they say change is constant, there will be a time nobody will think tech again. That's how it is. And you did mention something in somebody's session. You said we don't do research and development, and that is key. There's this term I hear a lot in the tech space, that is futuristic. We have to be futuristic with our economy. We have to do projections. Tell ourselves what is sustainable, what is going to be in line even in the next years to come. And we should not look for money and remove the natural aspect of life.
Yeah, true.
That is just it. You shouldn't. I came across a post on Instagram talking about capitalism. Capitalism it has its own ups and downs. Let me not go there. But as much as I want to work and be a business owner, I still know that there are some huge deficits to capitalism. It is because of capitalism that we are doing all these oil things. That's just it. So we should embrace sustainability even in the way we think. In the way we think, embrace sustainability. Do not search for this money and command the natural aspect of mankind. The water is natural. It is beyond the oil. The oil is deep than that water you're seeing there. The earth is full of water. So when something is wrong with the water, the earth is in danger. The aquatics inside the water, they depend so much on the activities we do out here. So we should not look for money and forget that there's this thing called natural phenomenon that anything you do can easily affect it.
So one of the very important things we try to achieve with these conversations is the practicality.
But everybody's going to condemn farming.
Yes, I really don't want us to, like, on the long run for sustainability, as I said, I've said it before that advocacy is very good and we'll do it. But I want us to, young people, and Engineer Olu said it, that we're moving away from the period of protesting to a period of mental transformation, in the sense that we are now providing sustainable solutions. Now, my problem is this: the entire commerce value chain has been so dependent on oil. Like, even the farmers.
But there are many things you trade that are outside oil.
Now the fish farmer. I mean, we went to Soku.
Yeah.
And one of their major challenges was what?
They don't have fishes anymore.
No, apart from that, like transporting.
Oh, they don't have transport at all.
That is the oil price.
Yes.
You always still hear the oil.
It is so hilarious that this oil is very expensive in this community.
Yeah, and they are oil producers.
And they are the one producing the oil.
But you see, the problem, the thing is that what I'm trying to say is that they still need oil to power their speedboats. The farmers still need oil to power his tractors. So I'm saying, is it not now necessary for us to completely remove oil from the commerce value chain?
I don't think it should be completely removed. I think it should be,
because if it's not completely removed, we always create this demand, and that is where we are now. That there is so much demand.
We've gone so far. We cannot start removing, because many things we do are cheered by this oil thing, and the cars in our compounds, the boats that the fishermen used to go to fish. You know, even if you want to do high range farming, you want to start farming for commercial, you have to buy those big machines to make farming easy, right? You don't want to be doing things petty. I know, but my focus is management, responsibility. Can this not be done in a proper way?
Without oil.
Can this oil drilling and all not be done in a way that is there no proper way for these things to be done?
So
that it doesn't affect
the environment,
the water, the environment.
And that is why there's EIA, there's ESG, environmental, there's ESG, there's EIA, there's all that.
We don't want it to be. We don't want the oil to be spilled, and then you come to give us compensation.
So the problem.
We want it to not be spilled at all.
You see, that's the thing. You see, this is why I see. This boils down to practicality. It's just like saying.
This is where government comes in. Actually,
no, it's not even government. It's just like saying, let's drive our car, but let our car not break down. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So nobody goes to except these demon-possessed boys, but nobody will go and choke. So these things are accidents that the problem is with the IGNA, and we don't have time, people, and I agree with them. What we are clamoring for is complete transition away from oil. Because you cannot stop, you cannot completely control mechanical faults underwater.
When you want to transition away from oil, which I believe will be more expensive, right? For the average man, for the common man. Now, are you going to provide resources that they will use for their fishing?
That is what IGNA said. Now, see what IGNA is saying. IGNA is saying we should move the finance. He was talking about an amount of money the world uses to subsidize oil. If you listen to his speech, he said we should move the finance away from that oil and move that money to renewable energy. Like, for example, now, if you now say, look, we are giving out subsidized solar or electric powered boats to fishermen, it's a practical solution. And you invest in research and development, you now begin to make electric or solar powered
Nigeria should also invest in that research and development.
Definitely.
Honestly.
But then if the United Nations, European Union, and all these countries come together and say, look, let's put money, and that is what we don't have time is fighting for, and it makes so much sense. Let's put money now. Let's move, because where the money is where the focus will be.
Because like he said,
so much money in oil.
Like he said, it's either it's done intentionally by the world, or something happens disruptive, and we don't want that.
Yes. So let us move. Let us see if this is a practical solution. If we say, okay, look, we are starting to develop solar powered boats, as expensive as it may be, if it is subsidized.
But is it supposed to be expensive?
Because of the process of
but I heard the process also of the solar is not also true.
It's not cheap right now. See, it's not cheap because number one, it is not available. It's solar panel. We have not invested so much globally in research and development for renewable energy that is sufficient. For example, there's no solar panel does it carry everything in your house?
people that know use it, they manage it.
Exactly.
They manage it.
So if there's no sun for a long time, it will definitely still affect. So
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, most people that have solar is inverter.
And to purchase it is very expensive.
Most people that have solar is inverter. It's very expensive. It's inverter they have, because at the end of the day, they still use gen
to power.
So so it's not, because the reality of the facts, and that's why I keep on clamoring on. We that we call ourselves climate advocates, let us talk about the issues. Let us advocate, and that's why Lincgreen, we just said loss and damage, climate justice, because it is even more. It is something we can tackle immediately.
Yeah.
Right. But we need to now move to having another framework where we gather inventors. Nigerians need to, and then let's now look. Let's not, and that is what Mrs. Olalade was saying. If you listen to her, she said we are doing so much of copy and pastes. Right? Why can't we be indigenous? You know, when she was answering the question about sustainable cities and building sustainable homes, why can't is it the same pattern of...
Somebody made a definition in that Look Beyond Oil. The person said a sustainable house is your office.
Yeah.
It's everything you want inside of it.
Of course.
The person says sustainable house is not just where you go and sleep. It's where you have your office. Yeah. Where you have everything. You don't necessarily need to go outside. Yeah. And that's what the person called a sustainable
So why can't we now be indigenous? Like African people, we look in what do we have in Nigeria?
What do we have? Yes, we have so much.
You know, what do we have that we can explore that will not damage the society, do not damage the environment?
Is, even after transitioning into renewable energy, let's also embrace other fields. Embrace it so tight. Like prior to this time, Nigeria is one country that is only oil that makes sense. Government doesn't even support little things that youth does. They feel like they're not serious people. But you can see that even our music industry, our movie industry, they are all booming. They are all making us proud. That's like the only thing that's made us proud in this country. That's what they know us for, right? Because our government is bad, everything is literally bad over here. But you see, our movie industry, our music, they are making us proud actually. So we should also transition into better, lucrative things that are sustainable for the economy.
And depopularize the entire oil sector.
Yes, oil is good. I don't debate that. Oil is good actually. It is just the human way of doing it that's making it really that bad. God did not give us oil to make us. I don't think that God actually gave us oil to make us pass through all of this.
Okay, when we reach heaven. All right, so thank you guys. I think we've come
to
the end of this particular episode. And the next episode we'll have guests. So Lalade, Johnson Igwe,
and you have
our panelists. This is the volunteer session. I will have more of the volunteer sessions, but for the next, we'll start having our guests, Engineer Olu. We'll go deeper into the science
aspect of climate change, and in the context of Niger Delta and Nigeria. Peace out. See you guys in the next episode. Yeah.
Bye.